Yo, what's going on guys? Chris Barn here, Overtime Athletes. And for today's video, what I want to discuss is vertical jump development for basketball athletes. Now, I'm sure I've made this video before. You guys know I'm always constantly talking about developing vertical force. I have our basketball guys in here for the off season. They've been getting amazing results as we test and retest on the force plates and our jump mats. And what I want to be able to do is, as I continue to evolve as a coach, I want to be able to share those things with you. So my approach this off season has been 3 to 4 days of work, where 2 days are, lateral change of direction, agility. Same thing with the linear change of direction, a lot of curvy linear running. But when it comes to the power, the 2 days that I've been focused on is day 1 is focused on a more progressive unilateral or single leg jumps that go within a specific block. So I always talk about block periodization, how we're stressing certain modalities. For instance, we start with isometrics, then we go through all the deceleration plyometrics where they're working eccentrically through it. Then we go through our propulsion where it's all concentric, like a seated single leg jump. And then finally we put it all together and they're peaking. So it's very phase oriented on their single leg. It's also through a deeper range of motion, starting them off and starting to continuously build them up. Now, I notice as I put them through the phases with single leg jumps that we are able to really start to reduce the compensations between both legs. Majority of basketball players, when they play on the court, even if they're a 2-foot jumper, usually one of the legs is gonna be very dominant, and that's evident by our force plate numbers. So when they do a vertical jump test, they jump off 2, one of them you're gonna see is getting a lot more force than the other. In addition to that, when you actually have them stand on one leg, you'll see that there's a huge discrepancy as well. So by me really focusing on those single leg jumps, putting them through a wider range of motion, through a lot of variation, I could start to eliminate those discrepancies. And the feedback that I'm getting is that these athletes, when they're on the court, are able to get into different positions and be able to produce force in positions that they weren't able to before, or that they weren't favorable for the actual athlete, okay? Now, on the second day, our focus is all about that elastic strength. So it's a lot of focusing on fast ground contacts, being able to shorten that amortization phase, and really just being able to focus on that athlete's tendon stiffness through the ankle and knee. Now, the reason why I like these and I progress these through is because if you actually are to look at a basketball athlete's jump on the court, they usually don't have that much time, unless it's a fast break, for them to get into that deep knee and hip bend. So contrary to like a lot of dunkers out there and they train this very deep knee and hip bend, when you actually watch basketball athletes on the court, it's a very springy like motion. So I hammer a lot of pogos, a lot of hurdle jumps, where it's these fast ground contacts where they're working more through the foot and ankle and the knee, and it's not a deep hip bend. It's not to say I don't overall produce or try to produce a greater vertical force. It's that I'm trying to produce that greater vertical force in a less time. So I'm really focused on their RSI, or the reactive strength index. How fast and repeated can they produce that force in comparison to how much they spend time on the ground? So that second day is really translating really well, and that's evident because all their RSI numbers are improving. And then on the end of that is they are in their top, especially from the single leg day, being able to just increase their overall vertical force. All right, so to recap real quick, day 1, single leg, put them through a full progressive phase, really focus on stressing each leg independently. Day 2, flip around about 72 hours or about 3 days later, if you will. The second day is really focused on that elastic strength, that tendon stiffness, being able to get that pop that's gonna translate over to the court and mimic more closely what those jumps look like when they're actually playing on the court. So I hope that helps. Always want to share with you guys the latest and greatest from my experiences. And if you're interested in a full basketball program that's outlining and being able to program a lot of these things I'm discussing, go ahead and check out the link down below, and I'll talk to you guys next time.